Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I have a fun-filled video where I'm sharing 5 all-new patriotic decor DIYs. Each project is easy and affordable to create. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you do, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Now let's go ahead and get started. For the first DIY today, I'm going to be starting with some scrap pieces of wood. The bottom piece of wood is 7.5 inches, and then the 3 top pieces of wood are 6 inches. I actually ended up using 4 pieces of wood that were 6 inches long. For the 7.5 inch piece, I'm painting that with my folk art chalk paint in the color Nautical, and then for 2 of the 6 inch pieces I'm painting those with my folk art chalk paint in the color Tuscan Red, and then the 2 remaining 6 inch pieces I'm painting those with my Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory. Once the paint was all dry, I then wanted to distress all of the wood that I just painted, so I'm using some sandpaper and just sanding away the paint around the edges and then scuffing up the front of the pieces as well, and I did that for the blue and all of the red colored pieces. Then for the ivory colored pieces, I decided to take some Java colored chalk paint from Folk Art, and I'm just very lightly dry brushing that around all of the edges just to give this piece a rustic, distressed look. And I did end up taking some of that Java color around the edges of the red and blue piece of wood as well. I'm also going to be using one of these unfinished wood stars, and this one I'm painting with that same Tuscan red color, and then I'm using a smaller wood star, and for this one I'm painting it with the ivory color. Once the paint has dried on both stars, I'm then gluing the white star on top of the red star. Then I use some of that ivory color once again to dry brush around all of the outside edges of the red star, just to give it that same rustic vintage feel as the rest of the project. Then of course I had to use some more of that Java colored paint around the edges of the ivory color star just to make it stay with that rustic vintage feel. To add some detail to my stars, I'm adding some jute. I hot glued the end of the jute along the back side of the stars and then randomly wrapped the jute around the front of the stars and then just secured the end of the jute along the back side with some hot glue. I'm also going to be adding these wood letters to spell out USA, and I'm going to be painting all 3 of these letters with my nautical colored chalk paint from Folk Art, and you can get these wood letters at Hobby Lobby. Now it's time to start putting everything together. I'm using hot glue to attach the white and red wood pieces together, and I just switched by going white, red, white, red. Then I'm going to be taking all of those and just hot gluing them to the top blue piece right in the center. I thought it would be really cute to add some of this star ribbon from Hobby Lobby along the front of the bottom blue piece. So here I just wrapped it around the front, and then I'm securing the ends of the ribbon with some hot glue along the back side. And then once I have that attached, I thought it would be really cute to add some of this white trim from Hobby Lobby, and I attached it at the top of the star ribbon and then also at the bottom of the star ribbon. Next, it's time to attach my USA letters, and I'm just using hot glue to attach them on the second white wood piece, and I'm just placing them in the center, and then I'm also attaching my stars with the jute on the lower left-hand side. And here is the wooden patriotic hat all finished. This is the perfect tabletop piece, and it was super easy and affordable to create. Next is a DIY number 2, and for this one I'm going to be using this sign that I recently picked up from Hobby Lobby. It was part of their 75% off clearance signs, and I only paid $1.74 for it. And the first thing I'm going to be doing is just covering up all the words that were on the sign with my Waverly chalk paint in the color Ivory. I am going to be leaving the frame the stained color because I really love that. And then I'm going to be using these wood letters that spell out America, and these ones are from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to be painting the A with my Tuscan red chalk paint from Folk Art, and then the next letter, M, I'm going to be painting that with my nautical colored chalk paint. And then I'm just going to be switching between the red and the blue colored paint. I'm then going to be using hot glue to attach all of the letters right in the center of my sign. Here is the America tabletop piece all finished. It's such a simple and easy project that was super affordable, and it's the perfect tabletop piece to add to your patriotic decor this year. Now for DIY number 3, I'm going to be starting with these 3 unfinished wood spools, and these ones are from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to be using my Folk Art wood tint in the color Walnut to stain all 3 of the wood spools. I'm also going to be using these 3 larger unfinished wood stars, and these are also from Hobby Lobby. The first star I'm painting with my nautical colored paint, the second star I'm painting with the ivory colored paint, and then the third star I'm painting with the Tuscan red colored paint. For my white colored star, I'm using some of my Java colored chalk paint, and I'm dry brushing it around all of the edges of the star to give it a rustic look. Then for my blue and red stars, I'm using some sandpaper to sand around all of the edges to make them look a little bit distressed. And then I'm also sanding on the front of the stars to scratch up the paint and make those look a little distressed as well. I'm also using 3 of these wooden dowels. The longest is 8 inches, and then the medium one is 5.5 inches, and then the smallest is 4.5 inches. And I'm using my Folk Art wood tint in walnut to stain all 3 of the wood dowels. I wanted to add some ribbon to all of my stars, so I'm going to be using this star ribbon and then also this lace ribbon. I cut them down to probably about 5 inches in length, and then for the star ribbon, I am cutting both ends of it into a V shape. And then I'm also going to be using a longer, about 5-inch in length piece of jute that I'm going to be tying around the center of the lace and the star ribbon. Then to go in the center of all of the ribbons, I am going to be using 3 unfinished wood stars, and I'm painting the first one with the Waverly paint in ivory. The second star I'm painting with the Tuscan red color, and then the third star I'm painting with the nautical color from Folk Art. Next, I'm going to start attaching all of my ribbons. So for the red one, I just hot glued my ribbons right in the center, and then I hot glued my white star right in the center of the ribbons. For the white one, I again just hot glued those ribbons in the center, and then I hot glued the blue star in the center. And then for my large blue star, I did the same thing with the ribbons in the center with the red star on top. Next up, I am attaching the dowels inside of the spools, and to hold them into place, I just use some hot glue on the inside of the wood spool before I place the dowel inside, and I did that for all 3. Then for the last step, I just have to attach my stars to the dowels. For the medium size dowel that was 5.5, I attached the white star. The smallest 4.5-inch dowel, I did the blue star, and the largest 8-inch dowel, I put the red star on that one. And this is what the stars look like all finished. I love the rustic look of these, and they are perfect if you want to place them on a tiered tray separately, or you can put them together on a table like I did here. Next up is DIY number 4. For this one, I'm using a larger wood dowel that I picked up from Hobby Lobby, and I've already cut it down. The 2 longer pieces are 10.5 inches, and the shorter piece is 7.5 inches. One of the longer pieces I'm painting with my Tuscan red chalk paint. Then for the second longer 10.5-inch piece, I'm painting this one with my Waverly paint in ivory. And then the third small piece or dowel, I'm painting that with my nautical colored paint. Next, I'm creating a hole in the top center of all 3 of my dowels using my drill. And then I'm also going to be using some of this jewelry wire from my craft stash. To make it a little bit thicker, I just doubled it up and I cut them into pieces that were probably about 8 inches in length. And I did 3 different ones like this for the top of all 3 of my dowels. Then I'm just going to be wrapping those wire pieces around my fingers to make them into like little curly cues. And again, I did that for all 3 pieces of the jewelry wire. Then it was time to start putting everything together. So I used hot glue to attach the red and white dowels together. And then again, I used some more hot glue on the front of those to attach the blue dowel. And then I'm going to be using this star ribbon. I believe it's from Dollar Tree. And I'm just cutting it down to size, wrapping it around all of the dowels in the center, and then using some hot glue to secure the ribbon. Then I'm attaching the little jewelry wires inside of the holes at the top of the dowels. I'm using hot glue in the hole before I place the jewelry wire inside to make sure that it stays into place. And again, I did that on all 3 of the dowels. I then thought it would be really cute to add some stars on to the tops of the wires. So here I'm just painting 3 of these small unfinished wood stars. I did one with the Tuscan red, one with ivory, and one with the nautical color. Then I just used some hot glue to attach the stars on all of the tops of the jewelry wires. I did the white star on the blue dowel, I did the blue star on the red dowel, and the red star on the white dowel. I also ended up adding a white piece of rope around the center of my star ribbon, and I think it just really added so much more detail. This is what the fireworks look like all finished. I love how these turned out, and they were really easy to create. Now moving into the 5th and final DIY for today, I'm going to be starting with this scrap piece of wood that I had in my craft stash, and I'm going to be painting it with my ivory colored chalk paint from Waverly. And then I'm also going to be using these Scrabble tile letter blocks to spell out the word America, but I wanted them to look a little bit more rustic, so I'm using my folk art wood tint in the color walnut to stain the tops of all of the tiles. Next, I'm using my drill to create 6 holes in the top of my wood piece. I'm using a drill bit that's about the same size as the wood that is on these little flags that I'm going to be using. And I did pick these flags up from Hobby Lobby. So for the flags, I left 4 of them their original length, and then for 2 of the flags, I did break them off so that they would be a little bit shorter once I placed them in the hole. So after I had the holes all drilled, I then hot glued my tile letters on the very front of my wood piece. And then I'm also going to be using some hot glue inside of all of the holes before I place my flags inside of them, just to make sure that they stay in there and they're nice and secure. As you can see, I did 3 of the flags facing the left side and then 3 of the flags facing the right side. And then with the shorter flags, I placed those in the 2 middle holes. Here is the piece all finished. I think this one would be perfect to place on a tiered tray or shelf. I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, I hope that you will consider subscribing. Please hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. And I always love hearing from you guys in the comments down below, letting me know which project you liked from today's video best. Thank you so much for watching.